Hey friends, welcome back to my sewing room. My name is Becca, and in today's video we're going to take a look at the Blade Saver thread cutter tool from Purple Hobbies. Stephanie over at Stephanie Stitches asked me to do a video review or tutorial of how to get started with this notion, so we're going to do that in just a couple seconds. But before we do, I just want to let you know that in the first comment down below this video there is a link to this notion, so if at any time during this video you decide that this is a notion that you must have in your sewing room, you can click on that link, hop over to her site, and buy one. And when you do, just leave her a little comment. Let her know that I sent you her way. That'd be awesome. Thanks. Okay, so let's get started. When you get your notion, it's going to come in a baggie with a pamphlet of instructions and this little thing. And by looking at it, you would think, okay, what the heck do I do? Well, it's a little compact because you got to put it together. You're going to need the notion that's in there. You don't need this, but you do have some instructions, so I would save those in case you need to remind yourself how to do this later. You will need a used 45mm rotary blade. You can use any brand, Olfa, Fiskars, Martelli, Joe Bob, doesn't matter, just has to be 45mm. You could probably get away with a 28mm, but I wouldn't recommend it. 60mm is going to be too large. And you will need a screwdriver. The instructions say to use a number 2 Phillips screwdriver, but I don't know what that means, so I just grabbed a Phillips screwdriver off my husband's workbench, and this will work just fine. So we're going to go with this. Let's take a look down below, and I'll walk you through how to get this notion all set up. All right, to start off, you're going to have one of these little discs, and the first thing you're going to look for is on the side, you're going to have this little oval circular thing. You're going to want to put a thumb on either side of that hole and just pry this apart. It should come apart pretty easily. It's just held together by magnets. Easy, easy peasy. The magnets are strong enough that it keeps it closed when you need it to be closed, but light enough that it doesn't require the Incredible Hulk to pull it apart. Once it's apart, you'll have this flower that's exposed. Just dump that out. That's what we're going to work with to start. And then you want to put this back together because this is going to turn into your base. You're going to do that by lining up those whole oval things and just bringing the pieces together, and the magnets are going to do all the work for you. Spoiler alert, the slot that's on the top is going to be where we put the flower petal down in here. So just before I put the blade in here, this is what's going to happen. You're going to take this flower and you're going to put it down in that stand so that everything is held together nicely. But it's not going to do you any good if you don't have a blade. So let me talk you through and show you through how to put your blade in this flower. We're going to turn this cute purple plastic flower into a deadly ninja flower. I thought it was funny. You're going to want to take your screwdriver on the side that has the Phillips head on the screw, not the flush side, the other side, obviously. And we're just going to loosen that screw. Remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. And that's going to pull the screw out of the base. It's a little bit easier for me to do it with my hand when I get it close to being done because the screwdriver is a little too big. Maybe that's why they say use a number 2. I don't know. Does it got number 2 mean the head is smaller or the entire thing is smaller? You tell me. All right, once I have those pieces unscrewed, now I'm going to be able to separate that flower out into 2 different pieces. Here's the pro tip for you. You're going to have a piece that has a lipped edge around the outside and in the middle, and then you're going to have a piece that's just basically flush. When you put your rotary blade in the middle of this, you're going to want to put it in the side that has the lipped edges around it. So you're going to pick up your blade and you're going to line up the circle on your blade. How many times can I say blade? With the hole that's in the flower, and it's just going to sit down inside there. You can see 45mm fits inside this thing perfectly, and now you know why they say 45mm. 60 would be too big, and I feel like although a 28 could work, it might be a little too small. All right, now I'm going to pick up my little flower petal, and I'm just going to set it in here so that it's lined up with all those grooves in the lip around all 4 sides. On one of the sides, we're going to put the flush bolt, base, whatever, into the hole so that I have something to screw my screw into. And then I'm going to pick up the screw and I'm going to get it started with my finger. Remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. I always like to start these with my fingers because otherwise I feel like I go crooked. And then once I feel like it's in there a few revolutions, revulsions, whatever, circles, turns, I'm going to tighten it up with my screwdriver. Now I've got a ninja flower. And I call it a ninja flower because although it's beautiful and delicate like a flower, because it is, I mean, look how cute that is. It's deadly because there's a rotary blade in here, and I would not throw this at anybody unless I wanted to severely hurt them. So make sure that you treat this with the same amount of caution that you would treat your rotary cutter. Now I'm going to take my base, and just like I did before, I'm going to put my little flower into this base. And what I'm going to do is take one of the petals, doesn't matter which one, and I'm going to line it up so that it's parallel with the slot. And it's going to leave two little notches at like 11 and 1 o'clock on the top of the flower. I'm going to put my finger in there because this is going to give me some good leverage on the flower petal while also protecting my fingers from the blade that could cause some serious damage. And I'm just going to push it down so that it snaps into that base. And that's it. Your notion is all set. Now to use this, it's the same process that you would use if you were using one of the gizmo doohickeys or the little thing that's on the side of most machines. You're going to take your thread that you want to cut. Let's imagine that this is a piece of thread that's holding two pieces together that I chain pieced, or maybe it's just some excess thread hanging off of a block that I just pieced together. You're just going to hold it taut and line it up with one of these little areas where the blade is exposed, and it's going to cut it apart. So pretty functional. Now, the one thing that's nice about this is that it's got rubber feet on the bottom, so you can set it on a surface and it's not going to move around very much. These are like little silicone feet. If they fall off, you can replace them with a drop of glue from a hot glue gun. That's going to keep it from scooting around on you too much. It's going to hold it in place. But the other fun thing is if you don't want it sitting out on your desk all the time, you want to tuck it away and really protect yourself, or if you want to travel with it, you can pull this flower out of that base just by giving the center a good squeeze and lifting it out. And then if you take this base apart, your flower can actually go in the base. You'll see this side actually has a diagram of what the flower would look like. Just line up your petals with those because it has to go in here a certain way, otherwise it won't close. You can put this in here and then line up your little groove, and now you've got your entire thing ready to travel. I would feel very comfortable putting this down inside of my little sewing notion bag or in my machine carrier. I would still want to check and look down in there when I go to grab it because something could happen that could dislodge those magnets. This isn't completely foolproof, but if you want a little extra security, you could put a rubber band around one side and again around the other side, and that would definitely keep it a little bit more secure. But it is ready for travel. The sides and the sharp edges are all protected, and your hands will be protected when you pick it up and put it where it needs to go. Overall, I think this is a great sewing notion. I actually have one of these on my machine, so I don't always reach for something like this, but if I'm doing a lot of chain piecing and I don't want to be tethered to my machine to cut those loose threads away, this is really handy to have because I can just set it up wherever I'm at and do this motion. This is a whole lot easier than doing this thing where you're trying to find it on the side of your machine. You guys know what I'm talking about. They're pretty affordable too, and it gets you a little bit more life out of your rotary blades because we all know when we have our rotary blades and we change them out, usually those blades are still plenty sharp to do a lot of damage and they can easily cut through your threads. We're just replacing them because we're not getting as clean a cuts through multiple layers of fabric as we once were. Maybe we're getting little nicks in one particular spot, but the rest of the blade is still super duper sharp and you might want to run out of its way if it was being dropped off of a desk. So this lets you keep using those for a little while. If this is something that you must have in your sewing room, run, don't walk to Stephanie's Etsy shop. The link to this product is in the first comment down below this video. Don't forget to let her know that SEWBECCA sent you, and come on back Friday nights at 8:30 where we sew together live right here on YouTube. I'll see you guys all later. Bye.